Hi, Otto here for Bavarian Autosport. In today's video, we're going to be replacing the thermostat on a typical BMW six-cylinder engine from the early 90s through the mid-2000s. This will involve the M50 and 52, the S50 and 52, the M52TU, M54, and M56 six-cylinder engines. Now we'll be performing this work specifically on an M54 engine, and the task will apply directly to the M52, the M54, and the M56 engines with the electric thermostats. The earlier M50 and 52 and S50 and 52 with the mechanical thermostats will have some marginal differences, but the steps are generally the same. Now let's take a look at some of the parts and tools we'll be using. Here you see an assortment of the specialty tools and the parts we'll be using in this thermostat replacement. We have our coolant drain pan, the garage guard absorbent floor mat, our funnel to help any coolant draining that we're doing, and the BMW antifreeze. We also have our spill-free funnel that attaches directly to our expansion tank spout, the flex driver for the earlier style thermostats, and new hose clamps for the early thermostats. As mentioned in this video, we're going to be replacing the thermostat on an M54 engine, and this is the electrically controlled thermostat. The earlier engines with mechanical thermostats use a standard thermostat like this with a separate housing. Now the factory housing is plastic, and we have an upgrade aluminum housing because these do tend to crack. Main difference in installation: this one just slides in as one piece, and the gasketing is already on it. When we install the early ones, the thermostat goes into the housing first, then the O-ring, and then the housing with this profile gasket here right on top of the thermostat. So that'll be the main difference between that and what we'll show you with the electric. Now let's get to work. Before removing the thermostat, we'll drain the coolant from the engine block. This will prevent a messier spill at the front of the engine when we remove the thermostat. If you wish, you can skip this step, but on a vehicle like this one with a full undercar splash shield, the coolant spilling when the thermostat is removed will make a much larger mess. Be sure that the engine is cooled sufficiently to prevent burns from hot coolant and to allow the expansion tank cap to be removed before starting any work. To access the block drain, we'll remove the undercar splash shield if required. This shield is secured using quarter-turn Phillips head fasteners, as well as a few of the typical BMW plastic push rivets. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to release the quarter-turn fasteners. We like to use diagonal cutters to pull the center pins out of the plastic rivets. Gently grasp the pin under the head and pry it out of the rivet base. Be careful not to cut the pin. We can now pry out the rivet bases. Lower and remove the splash shield. The engine block drain plug will be on the passenger side on six-cylinder engines. M54 engines have the plug above the engine mounting arm. Earlier M50 and 52 engines have the plug between cylinders 4 and 5. Use a combination of sockets, extensions, and ratchet or wrenches to access and loosen the plug. This plug has a 13mm hex head. Once the plug is loose and nearly removed, use the funnel to direct the coolant into the drain pan. Slowly loosen the plug to help control the coolant release. Allow the coolant to fully drain into the pan. After draining, remove the funnel and replace the drain plug. To access the fan and water pump, we'll remove the upper intake air scoop. Remove the plastic push rivets using the diagonal cutters. Pull the scoop from the elbow. Before removing the fan, we'll remove the intake elbow. Use a screwdriver to release the securing tabs, then pull the elbow from the filter box. This manual transmission 325i uses an electric engine fan instead of the mechanical engine-driven fan that's used on various other BMW models. If your model has a mechanical fan that is attached to the water pump pulley, click on the annotation in the video to go to our video showing the removal of the fan and clutch assembly. The electric fan is secured by one plastic push rivet and one Torx head screw. Release and remove the plastic rivet using the diagonal cutters. Remove the screw using a T25 Torx bit. Release the harness plug from the automatic air quality sensor. Press the release tab to pull the harness plug from the sensor. Use a screwdriver to pry the plug off if it's stuck. Release the fan harness plug by pinching the two release tabs and pulling the harness plug upward. We can now lift the fan assembly up and out of the vehicle. We now have full access to the thermostat. While the thermostat can indeed be removed and replaced without removing the fan, the work is much easier if the fan is removed. The later models use these quick disconnect hose ends instead of the older screw-type hose clamps. Use a small screwdriver to release and pull the clamping wire. On M50 and 52 and S50 and 52 engines, loosen the hose clamps using the flex driver. The hose end can now be pulled from the thermostat nipple. Release and remove the lower hose. We can now work on removing the thermostat. Loosen the 11mm hex nut. Loosen and remove the 13mm hex head bolt at the bottom of the bracket. To fully remove the bracket, the Vanos oil line must be disconnected. Loosen and remove the banjo fitting bolt using a 19mm box end wrench. Some of the oil may drain when the fitting is loosened and removed. Use a rag or towel to catch any drainage or drips. Remove the banjo bolt and be sure to keep track of the two sealing washers, one on each side of the banjo fitting. Remove the 11mm nut if not done previously. Remove the lifting eye bracket. unplug and remove the thermostat harness plug. Remove the 3 remaining 10 mm hex head thermostat securing bolts. Pull the thermostat assembly from the timing cover. At this point, if the block was not drained, coolant will spill as the thermostat is removed. Be prepared with the coolant drain pan and the garage guard absorbent mat. The M50, M52, and S50, S52 thermostat cover will be removed separately, then the thermostat can be pulled from the housing. Clean up the thermostat mounting areas. Install the new thermostat. On the 2-piece thermostats, install the thermostat into the housing, then the O-ring, then the cover with the coolant passage profile gasket installed in the groove on the cover. Insert and thread in the 3 10 mm hex head bolts. Install the lifting eye bracket. Install the 13 mm hex bolt through the bracket and the thermostat. Install the 11 mm hex nut. Tighten the 3 10 mm and 1 13 mm hex bolts. Finish with the 11 mm hex nut. Install the Vanos banjo fitting with 1 sealing washer on each side of the fitting and the bolt running through the washers and the fitting. Thread in and tighten the banjo bolt. Install the thermostat harness plug. Install the upper hose to the thermostat nipple. Assure that the hose end is fully installed over the nipple. Press the locking clip into place. Install the lower hose in the same manner as the upper hose. On the earlier hose clamp versions, be sure the hose ends are fully installed over the thermostat cover hose nipples. Position the hose clamps about 1/4 inch from the ends of the hoses. Install the fan shroud assembly, be it the electric fan assembly shown here or the mechanical engine fan and shroud. Note the lower alignment tabs on the shroud. Be sure that these align with the sockets on the radiator side tanks as the fan is slid down into place. Install the securing rivet and screw. Install the rivet base, then insert the center pin and push to secure it. Install the torque screw and tighten. Connect the fan connector plug as well as the air quality sensor plug. We can now refill and bleed the cooling system. We'll use the BMW coolant mixed 50% with distilled water. The distilled water helps to prevent electrolytic corrosion by removing the minerals from the water. Finally, we'll use the spill-free funnel to fill the system without making a mess. Insert the proper adapter from the spill-free funnel kit and secure it with the plastic screw-on cap. Insert the funnel into the adapter. Note the funnel plug that allows us to remove the funnel even if it is still filled with coolant. Begin filling the system with the coolant and water mixture. We previously noted that we'd removed over 1 gallon of coolant when we drained the system, so we're just going to pour this whole first gallon into the system. Open the bleeder screw to allow the air to escape from the system as the coolant flows in. Continue adding coolant until the system will not take any more. Start the engine and follow the bleeding procedure as shown in our coolant flush DIY video. Click the link on the screen to go there. In fact, you may wish to just take this opportunity to perform a complete coolant flush. Check out the video to see the complete procedure. Okay, now that you've seen how easy it is to replace your thermostat on these BMW 6-cylinder engines, if you have a fault code for your electric thermostat or you have a sticking open or sticking closed thermostat on the earlier mechanical styles, you can take care of this yourself. All of the parts and tools you've seen are available in our online store at bavauto.com or call our advisors at 800-535-2002 for personal assistance. Now, if you've liked this video, please hit your like button, send us some YouTube comments, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. With that, we're all set here. We're going to go ahead and get on another video.